Welcome, Andal. And it's my privilege to have you here after a long wait. And especially in my way, when I just introduce our guest, it would be on a personal connect. But in your case, more than the personal connect, I only had it off stack moments when I was hearing your story, because you started your life as a teacher, followed by a research assistant, then a home engineer, a homemaker in USA, followed by a serious entrepreneur, a serial entrepreneur kind of it. And one thing which I saw is about there's no looking back. You just kept going. Which rightly struck me was sky is just a beginning for you. You are actually aiming for the stars. So that's that was kept ringing in my mind all through the story conception phase. So I was completely in abstract moment. So I like to start right there. Before all, how are you and how do you feel?
I'm doing good. I hope everybody is doing good too.
Exactly. And also, I like to personally, I have an admiration for your commanding voice and where you come. Of course, you have a lot of things, but still, I admire the way you carry, especially your tonality and how you speak. And let's get to the point here. As I said, you had this upskill, journey. It's like a rocket launch, literally like a rocket launch. And what was that dynamics or mind shift or mindset that you adopted all through this journey? You can just start with your story and you can just tell what exactly it is.
The one thing I want to know is you compared with that rocket launch, how much preparation it goes. We see just one, two, three launch,
Yeah.
but years and years of preparation goes for that rocket launch. The same thing in life. People see after other people get success, but they don't see what is behind that. So
Exactly.
it doesn't, the success doesn't come like a rocket. Yeah, it just like you cannot just look at the launching pad and then say this is where the journey starts, but you have to start the journey where the rocket was made, how many people got involved, how much preparation they did, and all the collaborative effort. Let's 3 or 4 people, lucky people, to go on the rocket to the moon or wherever they need to go. So the same way in business, right now you're seeing me, but there is a lot of people behind me that worked hard, that contributed, and above all, I always believe in God. So God knows what to give you. So I have been lucky, I will say, because I got all the right things at the right time, and also I had the mindset that you have to take what comes. You need to have aspirations, you need to have your goals, but something happens, don't give up, because maybe there is a reason this is better than what you expected. So that's the mindset, then everybody can succeed, everybody can achieve.
Nice. And to go back on your story, you have been so humble. Yes, luck plays a vital role. It's being a right time, right person, right location. But to be there, you have put a lot of effort. We'd like to know a bit about your journey from an aspiring teacher to the serial entrepreneur, and how your mindset changed over a time or evolved over a time, and to whatever you concluded now. Could you just elaborate on that part?
Sure. Yeah, I come from a very humble background. We used to think it's a middle class, but today's standards it's like the lower class, I would say, economically, because we had a big family. It's a combined family. My grandmother, my mom, and my father, and then my chitti and chittappa, and we kids were. My mom had 4 kids, and then that's in one bedroom house like kind of thing. That's how we grew up, and we didn't have a lot of aspirations because we knew we had a limited means. And when I was in high school in 11th grade, in 10th grade, I was thinking about going to college because my sister was the first graduate in our community, in our village. And but she went to Gudumalpet with I. Okay, to backtrack a little bit, I was born in Palani. It's a small town between Coimbatore and Madurai, and it's a Muruga Arupade Veedu, like a Muruga has six abodes. And Palani is the important one. So that's where I was born, and we didn't have any colleges at that time. So my sister went to Udumalpet, it's a nearby village, and went to college there. Fortunately, my grandmother was there, maternal grandmother. So my parents and my grandmother sent her there. But when I came to 10th grade, 11th grade, when the college thing happened, my mom said, no, we cannot afford to send you out of town. We cannot pay for the hostel and all those things. But fortunately, when I completed my 11th grade, the Palani Devasthanam decided to open a women's college. So it so happened I graduated, then I could go to college because it was in the same city. I could go as a day scholar. And then when it came to BSc, that's PUC, then BSc, I wanted to study physics because I loved physics. Again, we didn't have the physics because it's a new college. We had only three majors: botany, history, and English. I had to go to Trichy. I applied, but again, my mom said no, we cannot afford. So I joined botany major in my college. And then at that time, my sister had already become a teacher. She studied her BSc BT and then be a teacher. So the only profession we knew in those days is for the ladies is a teacher, a nurse, or a doctor, or a lawyer. We did not know about any other profession unless some people were like seamstresses and other things that they do from home. But when you go as a job outside, these are the only four areas we knew. So I thought, okay, I will become a teacher. I will become a BSc, and then I will study BT just like my sister studied. It's called the Bachelor of Training. So I finished my BSc, and then I applied for BT, and then suddenly the government brought a rule. We have been a lot of teachers, so who are finishing BSc this year, they have to wait 1 year in home and then join BT. So we don't want to recruit more teachers. So I was not sure what to do. Then I told my father, instead of waiting for 1 more year at home and then going BT, why can't I do masters? So I can do MSc and then I will be done. And again, there was a lot of conversation. Finally, my grandmother was always my ally. So my paternal grandmother. So she said, "Yeah, the girls have to study. We didn't study, but we have to show them a better way. The education is the right way in current situation." So I applied on the very last day to the Mother University. Those days, we didn't have the internet or online applications. It has to be paper application. We have to go to the we have to send a letter to the university. They will mail the application. You have to complete it and send it back within certain time frame. But that was the last day that I had to get the application. So I called my cousin in Madurai, my mama's son. So he went to the university in person, got the application, mailed it immediately. I filled it up. So my application went very last. And then after a month, everybody started, getting the, admission
Right.
into the BS, the MSc, and everybody started their trip, planning their trips. And then I did not get any invitation. Even when my sister went to college, my lecturers asked her, "Is your sister going for master's?" She said, "I don't know. She hasn't got any admission yet. And today is Friday. Monday the college is starting, and my father is out of town, so I don't think she's going for master's." And she came home. I had that admission on that day, but now the money part. And then my father is out of town, and we don't know what to do. Fortunately, that night my father returned from the trip that he was supposed to be gone for 2 more days, but he came early for some reason. And then the next day, he went to my grandmother's house to ask what to do. How do we get the money? Banks were closed on weekends, and nobody keeps that much money, so we were not sure. And somebody, we called him as a Pannayar because we had some land, and he was leased it. He used to bring us paddy from that land. So he was coming, and then um, he asked my father what's going on, and he said I want money, but I don't know what to do because we have to leave tomorrow so she can join the college on Monday. He said, no, I have the money. I brought it to buy something, but I can wait for 1 more week. Take it and make sure your daughter goes to college. He just gave the money, no, no, nothing, just trust. He gave that money. So immediately the next day I went and joined masters. After joining masters, then I completed the masters. I had a university rank in bachelor's and also masters, and I was the first student, the first batch of graduates from the Palani College. And also I had received the best outgoing student in our out of all the three matches together, they choose one, and I was chosen as the best outgoing student. So when the I finished my masters, I said, okay, now I don't have to go to school, but I can teach in a college, so I can become a college lecturer. So I applied for my college. That time we had the emergency rule by Indira Gandhi. So they said no recommendations, everything will be straightforward. So I was so confident I'm going to get the job. So I went for the interview in Chennai, and then I was not chosen. Somebody else was chosen. Then I said, okay, now what do I do? And I said, okay, maybe I have to look for some other job, some other college. And then my aunt, my mama's wife in Chennai, they don't have children, but she said, oh, you don't come often, now you don't have a job, your college is over. Why don't you stay here for a month or two with me? I said, good, because they buy the English newspapers, like, they were well off. So they used to buy Hindu and Indian Express both. I said, yeah, that's a good opportunity because I can see the job postings, because those days the newspaper is the only way we got the job postings. So I asked my mom, can I stay? She said, yeah, of course, stay. So I stayed there for 2 months. And then I was looking at the job postings every day. And one day I saw a ad. It said, a research assistant needed. My qualification is master's in science. And then it said it's like a 250 rupees per month stipend for 6 months. At that time, the research means we knew only PhD, because I had an opportunity to join the PhD. There is a professor in Madurai University, Dr. Nyanum. He asked me to join under him to do PhD. But again, I know that stipend for we had to do PhD for 3 4 years, and 250 rupees is not enough. My younger sister and my brother, they had to go to college. So I said, right now my economic condition, I cannot do PhD. So I said, people do 4 years, 5 years to get research, but this says 6 months. How do I get a PhD in 6 months? But anyway, I will apply because right now I need a job. So I applied and I went for interview. I got selected. That I did not expect, because usually it's an agricultural place. It's a under ICA, or Indian Council of Agricultural Research. It's a cotton research institute, and most of them were we from agricultural university. I was the pure botanist there. So I got the job, and then again, my parents were not comfortable, because I have to go to a bigger city. It's called Coimbatore, and then I have to work with the men, because those days, women are
Yeah,
supposed to work with the
conservative.
women. So we did not know. Then my father went to my grandmother for advice, and she said, okay, take her, you go with her, see if there are any other ladies in the office. If there are at least two or three ladies, then she can join. Otherwise, bring her back and we will find some other job. I said, okay. So we went, and fortunately, but there was only one lady technician was there, and just 1 week before I joined, two more people has joined as stenos, two more ladies. So when we went, they met the
During that time,
criteria.
yeah,
Three ladies were there. I was the fourth one. If they had joined 1 week later, I might not have to join. That's why I said
yeah.
everything falls in place,
Time. It's
like
a time. Yeah, time.
the puzzle pieces falling in place kind
Yeah,
of thing. So I joined the job, and then I realized research, all the research is not a PhD. It's always there's research for the sake of research is also there. So I learned that, and then one more person joined with me. His name was Mohan. His name is Mohan. and he's from Agriculture University. And then there was an exam at that time. Dr. M. Swaminathan, he wanted to give priority to the scientists and innovation and research. So he created a cadre called ARS, Agricultural Research Service. It's equivalent to the IAS, Indian Administrative Service, and IFS, Forest Service, and all those things. He brought it equally the gazetted rank. And the exam, he started it in actually 1974. No, I think 75, something, 75. Yeah, I think 75, I think. And then Mohan wrote that exam and he passed and he became a scientist. So one of my mentors, Dr. RK, we used to call him Dr. Krishnaswamy, he told me I should write the ARS exam. I said, look, I'm from pure botany, and my lecturer in MSc, she wrote the exam and she did not pass it. So how do you expect me to pass the exam? He said, no, you are so lazy. See, Mohan passed, so you can also do it. You just have to put your mind to it, and he is the one who kept prodding me. First year he told me to write, I did not write, and then when Mohan got it, he started telling me more. He said, look, you have to write, you have to work on it. Then I said, okay, I will do it, because he is taking so much interest in me and he is asking me. Then, I looked at all the subjects, which subject I can write. Then I found genetics was the only subject it had a minimum statistics, because I'm from a pure math batch. When we studied, we did not study all this theorems and everything in school, and only with the in the elective subject, if people who took mathematics, they knew a little bit about it. But I took physics as I was given physics as electives, because those days the teachers decide who takes which one. So I did not know anything. So I looked at it, and the only subject that had minimum statistics was genetics, because there were only two papers I had to write. Other things were a lot more complicated. So I went to the, fortunately, right across from the workplace I was working is the Tamil Nadu Agricultural University. So I went there. We used to sit in the library and read the books, and I just tried to muck up actually, because statistics not, I did not know much, and used to take the book and read it, and somehow I passed the that
Exam.
ARS exam, and then I had to go to Delhi for an interview again. It was on the August 13th, and it was on the 13th floor, and my interview was at the 13th floor, which is 1 o'clock in the
13,
afternoon.
13, 13.
So
It was called
13.
is an unluckiest number according to certain culture.
Yeah, according to they say now 13 is not a lucky number, but everything happened to me on the 13th. And the funny thing is, they had advertised for only 5 posts, but I was chosen as the 13th candidate for the subject. So there were 14 people, I was the 13th one. So
Oh my
go
God.
figure it out.
13 played a bigger role in your case.
Yes. In fact, the funny story is, after a few years, I think Kumudam or Vigadan, I forgot which one. They had a
Nobody knows.
like some contest, they will say. So they said August 13th in 1977, where were you? What happened to you? So I wrote all this, and then I said 13 is lucky for me because all the results. And my sister said, no, you have written it as a diary, not as a history. I,
So
anyway,
fascinating.
so I got selected. So and then I became a scientist. Again, they posted me, for sugarcane breeding institute. The headquarters was in Lucknow. So they posted in Lucknow. So I just sent a letter saying, look, my parents are older. I need to be closer to them. And then by God's grace, they gave me in Coimbatore itself. So I worked there for 5 years and then got married and came to US. And then when I came to US, my husband was already doing his postdoctoral research. So he came on a vacation, and then our marriage also happened very fast. He came on July 4th to see me, and then he went to see other people. And on 8th, he said, okay, but on 8th, I had gone to a different city on a office trip, because we had to go to field trips to the sugarcane farms and factories. So I had reached there, and then the next day morning, 6 o'clock, they said, "You have a visitor." I said, "I just came to this village, and who is coming here? Nobody knows that I'm here except my family because I wrote them that I'm going to be out of town." And then I came out, and my aunt and my sister and brother were there. They said, "Oh, your wedding is fixed. Let's go."
So mechanic.
So my director was also there. So I wrote a letter and saying that I have to
Get
take a
married.
vacation because I'm getting married. He said, "You didn't tell me." I said, "Yeah, I did not know. I just know." So we got married on the 15th of July. So we didn't have the formal engagement or anything. So directly the wedding. And then August 8th, we left and came here on August 10th. So again, the visa I got in the last minute because everybody said you won't get visa because he didn't have the papers for me because he didn't know who he is going to get married to.
True.
So he just brought his own papers, and everybody said there's no chance you'll get. I said that's fine. I have a job. I also have a vacation, so I will enjoy. I'll stay with my mom, and I can go when I get the visa. But then I went. I got the visa at 4 o'clock. 6:30 was my flight, leaving for US.
Oh my
So
God.
the way we packed things was my suitcase separate, his suitcase separate. So either we go together or separate. So my mom asked in the morning, "What's happening?" I said, "I don't know. You come to the airport, I will tell you whether I'm going or staying." So sixth, by those days we had to do a lot more procedures also. Once you get the visa, then you have to get the immigration clearance and then passport clearance, and then we had to go to the airline ticket office to get my tickets and then get here.
Oh
So
my God.
it was like that's the whirlwind kind of thing. And then I came here and then I stayed home because I tried to apply for some jobs, but the sugarcane breeding institute in US was about 2 hours drive from where my husband was staying, so we couldn't. I couldn't apply. I was applying for some jobs, but those days part-time jobs were not easy. And then I had babies, so I had two kids, two daughters, and then I stayed home with them to make sure I gave them the good foundation. And when the kids started going to school, then I said I have to do something. And we moved to Cleveland in the middle from Atlanta to that. We had moved to Baton Rouge and then we moved to Cleveland. Then by the time both of them were in school going age, so I said, okay, let me do something. Maybe I should start a business. I said, I always love children. I said, maybe I should start a daycare center. So in Cleveland, I took some courses in a community college to get prepared for the early childhood psychology and all those things I studied. And then we had to move to Atlanta again. Then I went and worked in a daycare center to get an experience. I didn't like it the way because there are in this country, like in the daycare center, their philosophy is if the child cries, let them cry. They have to pacify themselves. Otherwise, parents get stressed out. So when the child cries, our immediate instinct is to take the baby and then pacify them, right? They said, no, you cannot pick up the child. You have to let them cry. Only thing you have to do is changing the diaper and making sure they are safe and things like that. I said, no, that's not for me. Then I was looking what other business I can do. I had a friend, my ex-colleague in India. He has a t-shirt factory. So I thought maybe I will start selling t-shirts in years. Then I realized, I found out they had a visa for the cotton goods. And in India had a rule that they cannot export the t-shirts if it's less than $3.50 per t-shirt. And here I could go to a store or the wholesale place for t-shirts where they were selling t-shirts from Pakistan, the same cotton t-shirts for $1.50 per
Wow.
t-shirt. So I said, we cannot compete with that. And also, since they had a visa, if the quota is done in a year, and if let's say if you bring it in October or June, but if the quota is for the whole year is over, then you have to wait for the till next year January to release the thing. Till then, it will be stored in a storage in the port, and you have to pay the demurrage charges and everything. I said no, that's too risky. But then I made some contacts in the T-shirt printing business and everything. So then I said, okay, I'll start a business. with business promotions. So I used to go to daycare centers and other business and say, okay, I will print the t-shirts with your business name, logo, multicolor. I can give you cheaper, because most of the times they go and buy the ready-made one. It's more expensive, but I had the source where to buy the t-shirts in bulk and then where to get it printed cheaper. So I was doing that, and then we bought a house in Atlanta. At that time, the interest rate was so high. The only way you can reduce a little 1% is by joining a community bank. But to join a community bank in those days in 1990, you have to work for certain companies. Then only you can become a member of the community bank. But then I found out there's a cosmetic brand called A1. If you become an A1 member or the sales person, then you can join the community bank. So I became a A1 rep to get this discount, and I tried selling cosmetics. It did not work because I don't put a lot of makeup on myself, so I could not sell something that I don't use. And then I saw an ad for in the newspaper. It said, if you love children and if you like educational toys for them, you should check out Discovery Toys. We are recruiting our stay-home moms to earn extra income. I said, okay, I applied for that, and I liked the concept because it started by a lady called Lane, and she started in her garage and she grew into a multi-million dollar company, and she gave opportunity for a lot of women to earn extra income. And it's all this, the toys were educational toys and no batteries included, no needed, no batteries needed. It's the
Oh,
so it's very good business. But that gave me lot of exposure how to do business in US, lot of training. Because the first principle they taught us is, don't start a business depending on your friends, because if you try to sell your products to your friends, at the end of the day you won't have the business or you won't have your friends. So you should be comfortable pitching in the idea of what you're selling to a third person. You should be confident in telling what you are selling to the person you don't know, and then convince them. So you need to believe in the product that you're doing, and also you are not selling, you are solving their problem. So you ask them what is their hiccup and then help them. So you are helping somebody, you are not selling. So that's a very good foundation I got from them. And then we started a company by name Inno Concepts for innovative ideas in 1992. But we did not just start selling anything under it. We just wanted to have the right product to sell, because just innovating, we didn't want to sell me too product or something that's available somewhere else. So we were looking around, what can we sell? And then we went to Cleveland, Ohio to visit one of our friends, and Shobha, and she had just bought a Sumit Mixi from Canada. And she showed us, look, we can get Sumit Mixi now. We were so excited because till then we were using a brand called Ostrizer. That's only mixer grinder we had here. And it didn't have enough power. It cannot handle the Indian cooking. It used to break. I always used to, when the sale comes, I buy two of them and keep one as a backup. Because without the mixie, we cannot cook anything. And we didn't have those grinders or anything in those days. So then she said, look, it's the Sumit, because it's the Sumit is a very good brand. They were the first mixie people. And, people used it for 20 years. The Minu mix and Sumit mix. People always, it never fails. Like it gets small hiccups, but you can get it fixed and keep using it. So then Balu was so excited when he saw it, and he said, okay, maybe we can sell this. So I asked Shobha, can you sell it to me and then I'll sell it to people? She said, no, you don't have to buy it from me. I will introduce to the distributor in Canada. You buy directly from them and you sell it. So that's when we contacted and they gave us the distributorship. And then Shobha said she's not going to sell anymore. So we sold it for the whole of years. We took the thing. And in the meantime, also we found, when we went for a friend's house, Lakshmi Shankar is her name, and we went for a Tamil Sangam meeting there, and then she had brought the ultra grinder from India at that time. And that's the see because Ultra Grinder is the first company in India to come up with the conical stones, and also made the grinder very compact and lightweight. So when we saw that, we got so excited, and Balu said, "We are going to sell this." I said, "Well, we don't know the manufacturer, we don't have any contacts. How are we going to do it?" And this one is all pre-technology area, so the people who are much younger, they would not know the snail mail we used to call the postal service,
Mm, mm,
and it used to take sometimes 3 to 4 weeks when we write a letter from US to reach India. And then the phone calls were much more expensive at those days, $4.50 per
oh
minute.
my god. Oh my god.
And then in the night time, like when it's nighttime in India and daytime here, the rates are like $2.50. But the problem is it has to go through a telephone operator. So so the telephone operator has to be free to pick up your phone, and then we
Connect.
don't have phone in our house. It has to be from a neighbors or somebody in the street, like 4 or 5 houses after. Then somebody has to go, from their house. They will come and call my mom. Then they had to go. Then we had to get the connection again, and we had to keep rotary dial. We had to keep
Oh
dialing
my god.
all those numbers. And sometimes you just sit in front of the phone on weekends just to try to get a connection. Anyway, we wrote a letter to them, and then they were not sure how confident we can sell their products were. And then in the meantime, we also found out Minumix. They started making a similar grinder, and they were willing to give in 110 volt. So my cousin, now my sister and brother-in-law, brother-in-law went to talk to the owner of the company, and he said yes, he can give in 110 volt. So we were so excited. And then we started selling Minumix, and people were so excited when they saw the mixed. And then I went to India, to Coimbatore, to learn how to fix the machines, and they were surprised. They said, "Are you a woman and you are going to have a screwdriver and things?" I said, "Yeah, why not? I'm doing business. I need to know my product. I need to be able to help my customers when they need it." Because Balu was a full-time job, and chemistry job is like sometimes in the lab he has to stay overnight also. So I cannot give him more work when he comes home to fix the grinder. So I need to know how to do it. So I went there and stayed there for 2 weeks and learned everything, how to assemble, what does it do, everything, and then started the business. And after a year or so, then Ultra, we were still communicating because Ultra was a little bit more lighter weight than Menu. And they also, the sound wise, a little bit less noise because they use the injection molded plastic, whereas Minimix, but Minimix, Mr. Nair, he is our mentor because he is a very smart person, and he was very helpful in our business. And then we went to him and said, we want to do Ultra, but they are asking us to, terminate the, dealership with you and to deal with only with Ultra. But we can sell Minimix mixes because they don't, Ultra doesn't make it. And he was said, "Yes, go ahead and get it." And he was nice. He didn't say, "No, you are sold my products, you cannot sell other products." He was such a gem of a person. Yeah, so he also helped us. He said, "Okay," and till today we are friends, and we talk to him, and he's such a nice person. And then we took the dealership from Ultra. We started selling Ultra grinders. It was going good. We had because always our innovative, so we always had a different approach. We said we are not going to tie up in a physical store where you have to work 7 days a week, the nights or something like that. So we work only office hours. Our office is open 9 to 5:30. Weekends are off, and but we will give a service. We will make sure when people have a problem, it's taken care of. So we found out if people have some problem with the grinder itself, we were selling for $250 with the free shipping. But if there's a problem, if they have to ship it to us, one way shipping was $50. So it's $100 plus the part, They had to spend half of their money just to fix small parts. So then we came up with the idea called a grinder clinic. So we appointed just dealers in different bigger cities closer to the temples, because those days we didn't have that many temples in US. So there were major temples in the major cities. So people from all around, they used to go to the temples. So we said we will put it in near the temple cities. So people coming to the temple, they can also bring their grinder and get it serviced. And we used to go to the dealer's place and teach them how to make repairs. And also we send a letter to all our customers: bring your grinder, if it needs fixing, we will fix it for you. So we did that, and we had like 14 dealers at one time. And then it was going good, and now the recession came in 2008. The Thanksgiving came, Christmas came, no sales, because everybody is, holding on tight, because, and then we didn't know what to do, because we had warehouse full of machines and we needed to sell. And we went to the bank. The bank won't give loan, because here you have to get a loan and repay it to establish your credit history. As a person, we just had a credit card just to fill the credit history, and then we pay it off every month in full. But as a business, we never got credit, because we used our own savings for the starting the business and growing it, and we reinvested the money in the business. So we could not get any loan, but fortunately our friends came to help. My friend, my kids and my friends, they gave the money to pay the vendors. And then we started thinking, what should we do? We have to pivot. We have to do something else, because we are putting all our eggs in one basket. Then we looked at all our customers. Whenever the customers buy the machines, I always used to call them. If I don't know it's a Tamil name or Telugu name, I call them an or Kannada name. We know that's in our South
Yeah.
India only we use the idli dosa grinders. So if there's anybody outside, that I call them and ask them, what are you using it for? Then I had collected things, how many people using for different things. We went through the list. Some people were using it for making tahini. It's like a paste from sesame seeds.
Yeah.
Some people were making it for masa. Masa is a Mexican corn. They soak it in the calcium cal, and then they grind it and make the chapatis. So they call it corn tortillas. And then some people were making the Filipino food called puto, and Nepali food chatamari, like that. There were like a lot of different things. And then there was a lady in New York. She was using it for making the face pack, the cosmetic pack. She used to get the sphagnum moss and imported from Europe. But then she found this grinder can grind the sphagnum moss into a paste. So she used to go to the Central Park, get the moss free, grind it, and her clients loved it, because it's an all natural product, fresh. And so all these things. And then five people said they are using it to make chocolate, but they had to be MacGyver. So, MacGyver is a show in US in 1990s and 80s, where this guy is very smart, and then whenever he gets in trouble, he will use a simple things, and he will repurpose it to get out of the trouble. So these people were using a grinder, wet grinder, which works for 30 minutes, and then they are trying to make it work for 3 days, because the chocolate, they have to grind the cocoa nibs for 2 to 3 days so it melts in your mouth. And then we said, okay, nobody else is doing the machines for the chocolate industry. Why don't we do that? Because we always get excited. We want to be innovative. We want to be the pioneers. Then, my husband Balu, Dr. Balu, even though he's a chemist, he likes to build machines. So he said, okay, let's make the machines. I will make the machine and we can sell it. So that's how we started the CocoaTown in 2009. We registered it, and then we started with the grinder, because that was the bottleneck at the time. And then over the years, people liked our machines. They asked for more machines. Now we have the complete suite of machines. And now, fortunately, we are here, there, in about 100 countries. Some countries maybe only one customer or two customers, but still, it's a new country for us.
Yeah, of course.
So, and we are making a difference in the field, because in the origin countries, the farmers, they were not getting any compensation by selling the beans in commodity price. Because if you look at any food price, the more you process, you get more profit. The people who are supplying the raw material, they get the minimum. So in the chocolate industry, the same way, if you look at it, if you buy a piece of chocolate, the craft chocolate or something, only 3 to 5% goes to the farmer. So most of the farmers, the kids go hungry, and they don't have enough money for anything, but they are doing for their love of nature, and they are, in Tamil we call it Annadata, right? In India we call them as they are the gods, because without them we cannot eat food. In Tamil we have a word: if they don't put their feet in the mud,
You
you
can't have
cannot
food.
put your hand in the side of food. But they are the most neglected, and like most least compensated, in the supply chain. We wanted to change that. So when our customers, like the craft chocolate makers, when now, see, when we started, we were the only company making the chocolates, the machines. So we used to say our customers, but now there are some competition. But the craft chocolate makers, they buy the beans directly from farmers, and they pay 3 to 5 times more than the market price. And also they teach them how to ferment it right, so they can. And also with our machines, they can make chocolate in their place. So there are a lot of they call it tree to bar. So from the cocoa tree, they make the fresh chocolate in the origin country. So I think we played a small role in making this change, because still the farmers are making the change, because they take time to learn about making chocolate and make the chocolate. But we made a small role in doing that, and so that's why I said God has been good to us. We have been lucky.
So, it's an extraordinary story. I just want to just listen it, because I get the goosebumps literally. Because the path that you've gone through from a very small town to somewhere creating your own empire, you got to say on your own, so you inspire people. You know, this story has a lot of points to discuss. But as gave an interview, as I said, normally when I connect with a guest, I connect on a personal connect. I see some personal connect to talk, but I chose to go with the rocket, for which you have added an extra spice to it. Hey, this is what the actual work behind the rocket launch. 30, 40 years of work on ground for the very rocket to launch what we see now, a chocolate making machine. What's the name of the brand, if you could say?
Cocoa Town.
Coco, CocoaTown.
Cocoa Town.
And that stamped its leg in 100 plus countries. So that's the actual rocket launch, but which took 40 long years of investment, which people normally neglected. Big kudos for it. And with that note, I like to add the personal connect. Probably you might be knowing. Even I born in Parani. You know, we both share the same birthplace, Palani, and I knew the area in and out and the god. So when you're talking about it, that's the actual personal connect. We had it, and when that was so astonishing. And I've seen a couple of similarities here. Especially you had this 13, 13, 13, 13. I had certain pattern in my life when I was getting placed in my first company. I was the last person, be it the last person to be called, last person to be called and selected. I'm if there are 200%, I'm the 200th person. So I had certain pattern in my life. But it's so fascinating when we speak the letter of the, which adds spicy to it. Coming to point,
transforming minds and enriching lives.